There is one rule that you have to follow in trucking.
Do not block the fuel island!
Do you ever find yourself, maybe you got stuck in traffic, maybe you got stuck somewhere, and now all of a sudden you need a fuel. Do you ever find yourself coming up to a truck stop and you see the entire fuel island is just blocked? I personally have, and I don't play like that, and I don't roll like that. I simply do not like that at all when that happens. But this one particular driver decided it was a good idea to do live streaming on YouTube while blocking a fuel island. I introduce you Mr Ramos. Yes, Mr Ramos is a trucker YouTuber that's starting to do like live streams, and he does a lot of reaction videos. As a matter of fact, he has reacted to my video where he basically kind of roasted me for bashing Alex the trucking guy exposed video, which I was 100% correct about it. He no longer works at JP Transco, and I did confirm a few truths, to which I responded to his reaction video. Hopefully Mr Ramos watches this that video and this video as well. Anyway, I decided to subscribe to the guy. I'm looking at some of his videos. Some of his videos have some good content. I'm like, yeah, I can watch him. I maybe not like his points of views, but I can definitely watch him. And then I'm watching one of his live streams that he just finished live streaming, and I noticed something. Did you catch that? Did you catch that in the picture? Yes. I took a screenshot of his live stream just in case he will delete his live stream video, so that it's claiming that I don't have proof. But I actually have proof. He's been sitting in the fuel island, his 30-minute break, blocking the fuel island like a bonehead trucker. And look carefully, that is not a Love's or a big truck stop. That's a mom and pop truck stop, which means there could be possibly only two fuel pumps there in the fuel island, or maybe 3 or 4. Not a lot like 10, like Love's, Pilot, or T or Petro. But yeah, he's blocking the fuel island on his 30-minute break. Something on bonehead truckers that would be laughed at. If you ever watched Bonehead Truckers, I highly recommend you watch Bonehead Truckers of the Week. Mr Ramos, if you haven't watched Bonehead Truckers of the Week, you're missing out, because it'll teach you not to block the fuel island. Now, granted, this is at night. Maybe there's not a lot of trucks coming in, but as you know, he is in California doing local. And if you do local in California, chances are every truck stop you go to is going to be already filled up, including the fuel island. It's kind of hard to find an empty fuel island in California at a truck stop, especially a mom and pop truck stop, because they're sometimes even smaller than the Loves out there, and basically are very, very hard to find parking. Now, it was at night, so maybe there's not a whole lot of activity going on up there, and I can give him a little break. Hey, he's in the truck. Hopefully he has some respect, some common sense, that as soon as he sees trucks piling up, he'll start his truck and move forward. But if this was in the daytime, man, that's just no excuse. You can't do that in the daytime, especially when people are trying to get in and fuel. Me, for example, if I have to fuel and go, I'm not sitting behind you there while you do your 30-minute break, or take a 2-hour long shower, or go take a dump, and then go get your cheeseburger and come back with the soda water as well. That's going to take about 45 minutes. I got to fuel and go. If I see you in the fuel island not moving, the first thing I'm doing is banging on your door and saying, you gotta move. That's if I can't find an empty fuel island next to me. And second thing I'm doing, I'm going to the front desk and I'm calling you out. I'm telling you what company name you are, what fuel island you are, and what your truck number is at, and then I'm gonna make sure they actually call you and say, hey, you gotta move your truck. Also, one time I came up to a Pilot while trucking, and I really needed to fuel. I really needed to make my delivery, but I didn't have enough fuel to make my delivery. I come up, it's about a 14-aisle Pilot, 14-aisle fuel island, okay? 14 lanes. Every single one of them truckers were not fueling. Guess what I did? I called Pilot, called the diesel's desk, and in the 30 seconds, boom, we see truckers coming in, and truckers that were sitting, taking a 30-minute break in the fuel island, move forward. That's exactly what needs to happen. Rule of thumb from, I think the YouTube name was Driven Trucking, not 100% sure. He made a video about this. 15 minutes to fuel, and 15 minutes after you pull out forward is allowed. So basically, you got 30 minutes to be at the fuel island. That includes 15 minutes at the pump, and then when you pull forward, 15 minutes. And yes, if you move half a mile an hour, no ELD is going to trigger your device. You will be okay. Your 30-minute break will still count. So, my dear audience, don't jump to conclusions. Mr Ramos may not be a bad person, but he needs to be held accountable. You cannot just go sit at a fuel island and take a 30-minute break on the fuel island if people need a fuel while doing a live stream on YouTube. That's just a bonehead move right there. Bonehead truckers would have called you out a long time ago. Ike Stevens, he would have called you out a long time ago. I'm telling you. You are definitely a bonehead trucker for doing that. Now, if it's at night, you got a wide open fuel island pumps, and you're watching, make sure trucks come in, go by all means, go do what you got to do. But if there's trucks coming around, pull forward, do not block the fuel island. That is one thing I don't like about truckers that they have no respect about, is parking, taking a 30-minute break in the fuel island when they well do know that truckers behind them are waiting to fuel. At the end of the day, I think Mr Ramos is actually a pretty darn good truck driver and a pretty good person. But come on, Augustine, please don't block the fuel island. Show some respect for truck drivers that may be trying to come up and fuel. Don't block up the fuel island. As a truck driver myself, I have common sense in order not to block the fuel island. As a matter of fact, I have never ever blocked the fuel island to the point where there is trucks waiting behind me. I've always moved up. I always made sure I wasn't blocking the fuel island. And if I'm taking a little while on the fuel island, I'm always watching traffic. As soon as it starts filling up, I move. Because sometimes I just got to check the oil under my hood, or I just quickly got to do my paperwork and then move. But I'm not sitting there live stream or anything. It is very quick. I make sure if I sit in the fuel island that I'm not in the way and that people can get around me and that there's open fuel islands. Not canceled. Guys, I'm Eddie B. 2004 You're live. This particular package, driving attempt on the 6 Series.